Oh ho ho! Fancy seeing you here, my friends. Welcome back to In My Car. I am Sean Starr on this Monday in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens season, my friends, coming to an end on Saturday afternoon. Where were you when the news shook the world that Cole Caufield's season has come to a crashing halt, and apparently the Canadiens' bona fide sniper had been playing with a nagging injury for months, so much so that infectious smile that Cole Caufield was rocking inside the room, on and off the ice, had all but gone, disappeared. That the pain was too much, and after a third medical opinion, the Montreal Canadiens pulled the chute on Cole Caufield's season. He has done so. The one of two or three reasons to hang around to continue to watch the Montreal Canadiens came to a crashing halt on Saturday. And listen, we all knew this. We all knew the Montreal Canadiens season was sideways. Nobody, I think, with a reasonable mind that had both feet firmly planted on terra firma here on planet Earth, thought the Montreal Canadiens were going to do anything of substance this season. So you wanted reasons to watch. You wanted reasons to continue to find yourself engaged with the Montreal Canadiens, even though competitively they didn't have a lot of jam in their game. The fact that Cole Caufield's 48-goal prorated season was one of the few bright spots on an otherwise dark year. Sure, we could talk about Nick Suzuki growing into the captaincy role, and I think throwing water on that fire of an excuse that you can't be a captain, be so young in this market and excel. I think Cole Caufield has done that. Watching Kirby Dach as a young player grow into his own as the Montreal Canadiens tinker with depth down the middle, and Kirby Dach finding his spot. Some of the aging veterans, certainly Sean Monahan, playing through pain. The Montreal Canadiens have had a lot of players over the years, my friends, playing through pain. It leads us to legitimately question the Canadiens' medical staff, whether it's Carey Price or whether it's Shea Weber, or whether it's Paul Byron, whether it's Jonathan Drouin, now Cole Caufield, Sean Monahan. The list is long of players that took the ill-advised path of playing through pain and ultimately setting it back. How many opinions did Carey Price need outside of the Montreal Canadiens bubble? Shea Weber too, seeking multiple opinions before ultimately deciding what's next. And listen, I'm all for second opinions. Just because one doctor or one professional said this, it's not gospel. It's not written in stone. There is room for other opinions in the room. I get it. But this is a little bit of a question mark here, especially when you start to put things into perspective. When we talk about the Montreal Canadiens and where they have 12 guys that are hurt. Obviously, most importantly, Juraj Slafkovsky, Caden Gooley, and now Cole Caufield, all done for the entirety of this season. It's 12 guys so far that are in the Montreal Canadiens infirmary. And then why is it that this team leads the league by a massive margin? The gap between the Canadiens and the Arizona Coyotes is the size of the Grand Canyon. When Montreal looks at the fact that they've suffered 703 man games lost due to injury, the next closest team to them are the Arizona Coyotes at 627. You guys, more than 100 man games lost, more than Arizona the Canadiens have suffered. And look, I mean, I think it's a fair question about how the organization still has a lot of tinkering left to do, whether it's the coaching staff in the American Hockey League with Laval or internally inside their own front office about trying to figure out what's been going wrong with this organization and how this new regime can help fix this process. And why did it take so long for Cole Caufield and whether it's Pat Brisson or whether it's the team doctor or whether it's Ken Hughes and the rest of his front office? Why did it take so long? Ultimately, yes, you want to see players, everybody plays through pain, but there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And if Cole Caufield is feeling acute pain, which apparently he was with a torn labrum, there's a big difference there. Like, being sore versus having pain are completely two different things. Like, if you're at the gym and you're lifting weights or you're making some sort of dynamic movement and there's significant pain, like an acute pain, you stop what it is that you're doing versus, lifting weights at the gym and you just feel sore, kind of like a bruise. There's a difference between pushing through that versus pushing through acute pain. And I don't get the risk reward ratio. If Cole Caufield, has designs of getting close to 50 goals, for sure he wants to play, right? And there was a realistic shot there before his season got called on Saturday afternoon, which, by the way, has to be some of the most shocking news I've come across this season, regardless of the sport. I happened to be relaxing in front of the TV on Saturday, had no idea that this news broke. My buddy Jeff, who I don't really go to for sports takes, is a good friend of mine. It's nice to have diverse friends in areas other than sports. And my buddy Jeff throws me a text saying Cole Caufield's season is over. And I roll my eyes. I'm like, okay, Jeff, where'd you see this? CanadiansPaparazzi.com. Where's this information coming from? And lo and behold, I check Twitter. Boom. There's the Montreal Canadiens' own Twitter account calling it, which I do like. I like the fact that the organization is handling their own business. But nevertheless, things have to change because what the organization has been doing does not work. And it's time for a little bit of a revamp. And I'm confident the Montreal Canadiens front office is going to handle. Look, I keep saying the theme this year is figure it out. It's a figure it out year, and that's not necessarily just the on-ice product. There's a lot that goes into making a successful hockey team, and the Montreal Canadiens came back and beat Toronto down 2-0 on Saturday night. Whether the absence of Cole Caufield inspired this team or not, the bottom line is the Montreal Canadiens are getting unbelievable goaltending from Sam Montembeault, who continues to make a positive impression to everybody watching this guy's game, that stand up and take notice that this guy wants to be an NHL player, and he's trying to show you that he can be. I mean, his save percentage numbers in 4 of his last 5 games are off the charts. That's how good this guy is, and was instrumental in the Canadiens being a better second period team on Saturday night in that overtime victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs. So big reason why the Canadiens still kind of haven't made up ground in trying to catch the worst placed team in hockey, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have a 13-point advantage on the Montreal Canadiens. Brian Wild joined the TSN 690 morning show at 8:30 this morning as he joined Connor McKenna and yours truly. A fascinating breakdown of the draft order and where the Montreal Canadiens ultimately have to find themselves in. And Brian Wild, who pays a lot of attention, certainly a lot more than I do, when it comes to NHL-ready prospects that the consensus believe are going to land anywhere inside the top 7, top 6, and that there's a drop-off. You're going to get a completely different player after 6 in the first round than you will drafting inside that top 6. So, we could have fun. We could talk about a losing culture. We could talk about how you don't want that to seep in. And honestly, I think that's a weak take to have. I'm not a believer in losing culture as it relates to the Montreal Canadiens. I choose to believe that they have foundational pieces in Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield, and those guys were instrumental in helping the Montreal Canadiens close out 3 rounds in the Stanley Cup playoffs and win 1 game in the Stanley Cup final. That's very valuable. And I think this team has faced a good amount of adversity with the significant injuries, or whether the narrative is that they suck and they're not going to win any games, and look how well they played in October and November. Then they went through a Christmas slump, and now they're back out of it again, playing more competitive hockey, more engaged hockey on a consistent basis. That to me shows strong leadership. That to me shows strong internal belief that you don't really have to worry that much about a losing culture, and that if the Montreal Canadiens lose the magic of Sam Montembeault and they bottom out and continue to catch the 31st and 32nd ranked teams in hockey, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. You're not here cheering for losing, but you're here cheering for the ultimate goal, the end goal, the long play here. The long play, as I keep telling you, is I want the Montreal Canadiens to be the next version of the Tampa Bay Lightning. You're annually contending for the top seed. You're annually and game by game putting the fear of God in your opposition's eyes, and you're trying to be a dynasty. You're trying to get back to the promised land. You're not trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to win the bleeping Stanley Cup. That's what we're doing here. Anything else, my friends, is just a waste of time. So stop wasting time, whether it's just treading water on the ice or in your personal life. Make decisions. And that's why I've partnered with Axon Group, axongroup.com. You can find them online. They are one of Canada's largest intermodal transportation providers. So whether you're shipping cross-border or domestically within our borders of this country, Axon has the knowledge, and just as importantly, they have the assets to get your precious cargo to its destination the best way possible. How's that? That's on time and under budget. Check out axongroup.com. Call them, 888-99-AXON. Again, that phone number, 1-888-99-AXSUN. Proud sponsors of In the Car with Star. We had some fun earlier this morning, again with Brian Wild, Connor McKenna, and yours truly, TSN 690. It's the morning show weekdays between 6 and 10 a.m. about Cole Caufield's next contract. Now that his season is over, do you see this being detrimental to the negotiations? Does this play a part in how Ken Hughes, Pat Brisson come to terms on Cole Caufield's next contract? And you know what? I guess I gave out a little bit of a hot take that got some people talking this morning on the show and debating Connor McKenna and Brian Wild and yours truly about Cole Caufield's next contract. When we look at his sample size of 82 games under Martin St. Louis, he's more or less a 50-goal guy. He's 48 goals under 82 games under Martin St. Louis, and you're going to look at the fact that 36 points. Cole Caufield's vision, Cole Caufield's ability to dish and be a playmaker is underrated. There's a ton of room to grow, and I think he's going to get there, so the points are going to come. But more importantly, it's the goals, it's the goals, it's the goals, it's the goals. The Montreal Canadiens don't have a guy like that. They haven't had a guy like Cole Caufield in a long time. I choose to believe that that's a massive bargaining chip because Cole Caufield accounts for more than just goals. The bottom line is significantly impacted by Cole Caufield's presence on the Montreal Canadiens. It's more tickets, it's more beer, it's more T-shirts, foam fingers, parking spots, everything that we sometimes forget about, bobbleheads, little tchotchkes at the dollar store that have Cole Caufield 22. All of these things ultimately add up when you have hundreds of thousands of people repeatedly buying them again and again and again and again. That Cole Caufield's economic impact is more than just how many goals he scored. It's the fact that he's turning into a lot of people's favorite player, and you're going to pay the premium for that. And I think as the game continues to skew younger and younger and younger, I think more athletes across North American sports come into games on club teams very confident in their skill set, very confident and not timid or bashful when it comes to saying, this is what I want, and I'm really not going to settle for anything less. So that's the guess I have about Cole Caufield, is that he knows, and I look at premier goal scorers, of which Cole Caufield is for me. Cole Caufield is a premier goal scorer in this league. Almost like I look at a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase or DeAndre Hopkins, elite level wide receivers in football that are very confident in their skill set and get paid, and they're not afraid to tell the world how good they are. I get the impression Cole Caufield is kind of cut from that mold, and that's fine. I love a player that loves himself and strongly believes in his own ability to produce at a high level, especially in games that matter most. And my friends, you pay for that. And I have no problem thinking that the Montreal Canadiens are going to pay for that, right? Like, look at Patrick Laine, for example, out of the Winnipeg Jets. He's 24 years old. In his first few seasons with Winnipeg, he was touching the high 30s, 40 goal scorer plateau. Ultimately gets 8.7 a year and signed that contract a few years ago. It gets dealt out to Columbus, and the rest is history. And you can look at contracts of guys that have signed years ago and how much they got paid, and the fact that even Johnny Gaudreau is an example, who's 29 years old, signed as a UFA with Columbus, actually took less money to go to CBJ than what the New Jersey Devils were offering, right? So, like, we have comps. We have in this market nobody that has scored goals like Cole Caufield since Guy Lafleur. Heck, I don't even count Stéphane Richer, who was the last guy to drop 50 back in 1990. Cole Caufield's right there. I really thought he had a chance at scoring 50, almost Alex Galchenyuk's 30-goal campaign. A lot of garbage games coming, and I thought Cole Caufield perhaps was going to benefit from some of these non-competitive games. But look, the news shocked the world on Saturday that Cole Caufield's season is over, and I honestly think Cole Caufield's annual average salary is going to be closer to $10 million than it's going to be to $8 million. So 8 is definitely going to be the starting point. I think that's the bare minimum Cole Caufield is going to get paid on his next contract. I don't think this torn labrum impacts this whatsoever. This is not one of those scary, freaky injuries. Players have had this injury. They've had this surgery done before. There really isn't a track record, a precedent, if you will, of any hockey player that suffered this type of injury that had significant setbacks in their rehab that prevented them from being the player they were on the ice before the injury came in. So I'm not sweating the injury. I don't think the organization is sweating the injury. I don't think Pat Brisson is sweating the injury. And that when Cole Caufield looks at all of this and he's ready to return, I think we're going to be talking about a guy who's getting north of $9 million on the annual average. Hit me up in the comments. Like, what do you think Cole Caufield's contract, if you were in charge of all this, knowing the market, knowing the player, knowing what he means to the Montreal Canadiens and his chemistry with Nick Suzuki, like, in a perfect world, yes, I would love the Montreal Canadiens and all of their players to kind of find the way the Detroit Red Wings did their business, that nobody got more than Nick Lidstrom, or how the current Boston Bruins, who you're going to see on Tuesday night, how the Boston Bruins business model is. In a perfect world, I love that. I love that Patrice Bergeron makes X amount of dollars and everybody falls in line underneath Patrice Bergeron's annual average. That's a perfect world. I don't know if the Montreal Canadiens want that, if the Montreal Canadiens are trying to achieve that. And ultimately, your guys have to play ball. Like, remember, like Patrice Bergeron, like they won a Stanley Cup. And Brad Marchand, it's easy to follow the lead when the belief has been proven. It's not a hypothesis anymore. It is now a proven fact that the Boston Bruins won a Stanley Cup, and everybody falls in line for the chance at winning the Stanley Cup again. So if the Montreal Canadiens ultimately can convince their leadership group that who they have and the pieces they have in place are the real deal, then maybe, just maybe, in the future, Cole Caufield will be the benchmark and everybody else will follow suit and everybody else will find a financial structure that makes sense. But I don't think the Canadiens are there yet. So that's why I don't believe today, feel free to call me out, that Cole Caufield is going to fall in line and Nick Suzuki is going to be the highest paid player, and the rest is history, and the Montreal Canadiens will be set up. Hit me up in the comments. Like, how much do you think Cole Caufield is going to get? What's his next annual average salary, knowing that, he was on pace for 48 goals, knowing that in an 82-game season split between last year and this year, that he scored 48 goals in 82 games under Martin St. Louis. Should be a lot of fun to see how this process plays itself out. In the Car with Star, a proud presentation of AccentGroup.com. Call them, 888-99-ACCENT. Nobody gets your precious cargo, your freight, whether it's cross-border or domestically, on time, on budget, then my friends at AccentGroup.com, 888-99-ACCENT. Don't forget, we're fueling up and snacking up at K-Stop Gas Bar, Depanneur, Highway 138 in Ganawagi, as we did this weekend for our NFL football action. I got to be honest, wasn't a great weekend of football. We had the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 9.5. The New York Giants laid an egg. Daniel Jones running for his life in Philadelphia on Saturday night in what was the most lackluster game of the four that we watched. Obviously, with Philadelphia just putting the boots, sacking Daniel Jones 5 times. Remember, the Eagles led the league with 70 sacks last season. So we set up a conference championship Sunday at 3 o'clock with the 49ers going to Philadelphia. We saw the 49ers just make Dallas look bad again. Dak Prescott is just another fancy name for saying Kirk Cousins, the inability to win another big game. The 49ers gave them a good dose of defense. Brock Purdy was very efficient. I thought he was better than Dak Prescott. And so that sets up the 49ers at the Eagles. Philadelphia, 2.5-point favorites there. I think that if there's an avenue to exploit for San Francisco, to give them a chance to really leave Philadelphia with a Super Bowl appearance in their back pocket, they're going to need the tandem of Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel to be in full effect on Saturday night in order to get this done. Philadelphia 10 times this season gave up more than 120 yards rushing on the ground. Obviously, the New York Giants with Saquon Barkley couldn't do that on Saturday night. The San Francisco 49ers are better set. They have better infrastructure set in place to make sure that Deebo and Christian McCaffrey can be that lethal running tandem, because if there's one weak spot in Philadelphia, because boy, oh boy, did they look good. Jalen Hurts didn't have to throw the ball 40 times, didn't have to put up 330 yards. He was just good enough and very athletic and very dynamic from everything they have there, from Devontae Smith, big tight end targets, and Dallas Goedert. I mean, Miles Sanders. I mean, Philadelphia really was full effect and full value for their dominant performance. And then later on Sunday night, you've got the AFC Championship with Cincinnati, as we told you. The Cincinnati Bengals, that was one of our winners. We had them on the money line. We had them plus 5.5. They go to Buffalo and just exercise their authority in front of Buffalo Bills Nation in Western New York. Joe Burrow is as cool as they come and full value for their victory. So Cincinnati goes to Kansas City as an MRI confirmed that quarterback Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs has a severe high ankle sprain, but he soldiered on, came through, and helped Kansas City by a touchdown, beat Jacksonville. So KC at home at Arrowhead, favored by a point today. A total for that game, the AFC Championship game, set it over under 47.5 points. So it should be fantastic. Where the Dallas Cowboys go from here is your best guess. they need more weapons. Dak Prescott throws 2 picks in the first half. They had no run game. Tony Pollard broke his leg in that game. Contract year, so that's a tough one for the Cowboys' number 1 back. So obviously detrimental to his offseason and his future prospects as far as the rehabilitation and how much money this guy's going to get. But if it wasn't CD Lamb, it was nobody for Dallas yesterday. And obviously the crushing injury to Tony Pollard. Ezekiel Elliott's a fine back, very, very much now what looks to me like a very short yard running back, very north-south. You need a 3rd and 2. You call Zeke in. That's the guy that can move the chains. But I kind of felt a little bit for Dak Prescott, who didn't do much. That last play call for the Dallas Cowboys and how that game ended was an atrocity. I firmly believe that even though Jerry Jones is saying Mike McCarthy's back next season, I don't think Mike McCarthy's back. I don't even think Sean Payton takes that job, knowing how much control Jerry Jones has over that organization. So another Dallas Cowboys season comes to an end. How about them Cowboys? Their season is over. So our conference championship Sunday window is now open. 49ers at Eagles at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and then at 6:30 at Cincinnati and Kansas City. Can't wait, and obviously we'll have a full breakdown of that. The Montreal Canadiens in action. 2 games at home this week. They're in Ottawa on Saturday, but between now and Ottawa, they've got the Boston Bruins tomorrow. Then they host Detroit on Thursday. That's the Montreal Canadiens week with 12 guys out of the lineup for Martin St. Louis. So go see your Laval Rocket at the Bell Center tomorrow when they take on the visiting Boston Bruins. The first meeting of the season between the Habs and Bruins, right? Feels like a minute. So hit me up in the comments. Let's talk about this. Cole Caufield, you thinking more like me? You thinking more like McKenna and Brian Wild, thinking that Cole Caufield's next contract is going to be closer to 8 than it is to 10? I believe it's closer to 10 than it is to 8 million. Glenny Bauer, Glenny Balls, what's up, Glenny Bauer? 7 times 7 for Cole Caufield. I'm going to tell you right now, and if you missed my podcast, Glenn, from last week, go watch my last one. And if you're ever on the YouTube channel, just hit the live tab. That's where you're going to find most of my videos. Darren Dreger, TSN Hockey Insider, told McKenna and yours truly on Friday, 7 times 7, full stop, is not going to get it done. No way in hell Cole Caufield signing for $7 million a year. There's no way that's going to happen. Feel free to make me eat my words should that actually come to fruition. But no way is that going to happen. Let's go, Marty. What up, Marty? 8 times 8, says Marty. When we look across, right, like I like the Patrick Laine, 8.7. I think 8 million, Marty, is the bare minimum. I really honestly believe 8 million is going to be the minimum that Cole Caufield signs for with the Montreal Canadiens. Jantan, what up? Maybe 9.3 AAV, but it's more back-ended. So at this point, is Caufield worth around 7? My God, the comments are coming in. I'm sorry. Here we go, Jantan. So if he doesn't let the money get to him, as he's still very young, yeah, I don't know. I still think, I don't know, at this point, Cole Caufield, does the money spoil the well, so to speak, that he just becomes this super rich guy? I believe Cole Caufield comes from money a little bit, and that I do just think that hockey and sports skews younger, and you don't have to worry that much. At least that's everything we're doing here. I'm just guessing. I don't know Cole Caufield. I don't know anybody that knows him that well, and I'm just reading off what I see and the persona that he kind of gives us, right? And especially how younger athletes are very sure of themselves, especially guys that show you that there's no flukiness to their game, right? Steph Howard, 8 times 8.5, more than that. I trade for. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You're telling me, Steph, that if Pat Brisson, the agent to Cole Caufield, says, listen, my guy's not taking anything less than $9 million, and that $8.5 million we're going to walk, that you're going to trade Cole Caufield? You haven't had Cole Caufield since Guy Lafleur. We're talking 40 years of Canadiens hockey. You haven't seen a player that scores at the rate, that the consistency that Cole Caufield does. I want a puck-moving defenseman as much as the next guy. I want Cole Caufield on the Montreal Canadiens more than I want a puck-moving defenseman. My goodness gracious, I appreciate the take. Thank you. Glenny Bauer, back in the mix. If Cole Caufield doesn't score goals, what does he do to help the team? Not physical, too small, kill penalties, in my opinion. I like him, don't get me wrong. Let's not get carried away. Oh my God. What's going on here? If Cole Caufield doesn't score goals, what do you mean if he doesn't score goals? He scores goals. That is the most, listen, the most important thing an NHL player could do is score goals. You know how many guys scored 50 goals last year? I don't even have my sheet here. I wrote it down somewhere. I don't even have my sheet with me today. You know how many guys scored 50 goals last year? Like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Chris Kreider. I'm forgetting somebody. Like there's 5 guys, and that was a massive year. What's going on? No. Let's get on the same page right now, everybody. The most important thing, the most value you put on a player is how many goals they score. It's the most important. It's more important than assists, everybody. Scoring goals is more important than assists. And also, Cole Caufield, I believe, his playmaking ability is underrated. Everybody talks his ability to shoot and score goals, undeniable. I'm here making a case for the fact that I think he's closer to 10 million than he is 8. So obviously, I put a premium on what this guy does as a goal scorer. But I'm telling you, his vision, his ability to move the puck and distribute is an underrated skill, and he'll only get better at that. But boy, oh boy, all he does is score goals. Let me tell you, that threw me for a loop there. I don't get rattled very often, but boy, we had a couple of hot takes there. Steph Howard and Glennie Balls coming in hot. That if Cole Caufield asks for anything more than $8.5 million, I'm trading him for a puck-moving defenseman. And what does he do other than score goals? Honestly, Glenn and everybody else, I don't want Cole Caufield to do anything else. Dude, if he scored 53 goals and finished with 0 assists, I would be over the moon. Give me 53 goals and 0 assists for Cole Caufield all day, every day. Stephen Deere, what's up, brother? Give Habs another 6 years. Maybe they will be good. Maybe. Stephen Deere, I know for a fact, representing Bruins Nation. It's nice. It's nice when you're sitting atop the mountain looking down at everybody because you're so far ahead of everybody. The Bruins are so far ahead of everybody. You know what they look like? You know, like when we're in a plane and we're getting close to landing on the tarmac at Trudeau, and we look down at all the cars on the highway. Oh, look at those little ants. That's what the Bruins are. The Bruins are in the sky looking down at the NHL saying, oh, look at the little ants running around. That's how far the Bruins are. That's how good the Bruins are. It's unbelievable what they've done. You're going to see them for the first day. It's a crime. Let's be honest. Let's call it. It's criminal. It's criminal that the Boston Bruins haven't been to the Bell Center yet. The Canadiens haven't played the Bruins yet. First time tomorrow. Canadiens hosting Boston. Then they've got Detroit, and then they've got the Ottawa Senators. James, what up, James? Give Caufield whatever he wants. Under 10 a year. It's not even a question. Well, like, be more specific, James. What do you got for me? Under 10. What does that mean? 9? 8.7? 9.25? Let's put a number to that. Let's put a number to Cole Caufield. I believe Cole Caufield's AAV is going to be closer to 10 than it will be to $8 million. I just give me Price is Right style. $9 million and $1, and I win that bet. I love that all day, every day. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget, you can support me by supporting my sponsors. And listen, you're doing yourself a favor. It's not just me. Like, I'm here to help you. You're there to help me. Together, we make a great team, don't we? And that's why I encourage you to give your business to Axon and AxonGroup.com. This is a locally owned and operated business, and they're one of Canada's largest transportation providers. So, you know, you're shipping door to door here in Canada. Trust Axon for their expertise and their assets because they could get it to its destination on time. I just see the comments coming in. Sorry about that. You can also trust Axon for all your freight needs to get outside of Canada. So cross-border, more than just domestically. Axon has the knowledge and the assets to get your freight to its destination the best way possible. They are a logistics expert, locally owned and operated out on the South Shore. For more information, they're always available for you at axongroup.com or call them at 888-99-AXON. The comments coming in at Jan 10. Last season, 4 players with 50 goals, 13 with 40. That's it. Thank you for that. I wrote the list down, but I forgot my paper. Thank you for that. Did I get all? I think I got all 4 guys, right? If he wants 9.9, give it to him, James. That's a good answer. Thank you, James. 9.9 for Cole Caufield. Because again, like, you know, you got to plan for what the salary cap's going to go up a little bit next season, and then, you know, how do you forecast? That's the gamble, right? You got to forecast for where you think the cap ultimately is going to be. Hopefully you are at K-Stop, Gaspar, and Depanneur this weekend, taking advantage of their unbeatable premium fuel prices. premium fuel at discount prices only at K-Stop Gas Bar Depot in beautiful Ganawage. It's right over the Mercier Bridge, Highway 138. Just stay on the 138. You got a couple of traffic lights. Hang a right. It's right by that big poker place. Beauty. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.